Good afternoon, everyone. We will now begin the afternoon session on one-day webinar on research, publication, and quality research methodology. Now, I request Srimati Vijayashree Gaunkar, Madam, Associate Professor of Mathematics, to give us a brief introduction of technical session to speaker Dr. Habibur Rahman. Please go.
Good afternoon and welcome you all for the one-day international webinar on research publications. I, Vijayashree, as a maths faculty of this institution, am pleased to introduce a dynamic personality, Dr. Habibur Rahman, as a speaker for post-lunch section. His work experience, interests, achievements, and many more information will be an inspiration for all the participants gathered on this occasion. He is an innovative academician with over a decade of expertise in higher education. He holds a PhD in management and an MBA from VTU India and has achieved the prestigious fellow status from Advanced HE United Kingdom in recognition of his significant contributions to global higher education. In addition to his academic qualifications, Dr. Habib has received certifications in FinTech from the University of Cambridge, Artificial Intelligence from the MIT US, Transactional Analysis from the Burney Institute, England, and ISO Lead Auditor. These certifications highlight his commitment to continuous learning and staying updated with the latest advancement in his field. Habib is an active researcher in the field of social science and humanities. His work published in reputed journals indexed under Scopus, ABDC, and Web of Science. He possesses a deep understanding of behavioral science and is a skilled freelance trainer, conducting programs on self-development, behavioral diagnostics tools, transactional analysis, and emotional intelligence. Currently, serving as the assistant professor and head of the staff development unit at Kingdom University, Bahrain. I'm sure it is a pleasure for all of us to know Dr. Habib. So let's welcome Dr. Habib, sir, for the session. Welcome you, sir, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible. I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. First of all, thanks a lot for inviting me for this beautiful session. And before I commence this program, actually I'm back to India on my vacation, and I'm in a village. So I hope I arranged my best internet, and I hope this entire session there will not be any interruption, since there is no proper range in my village for this Airtel. So I'm struggling. So I have arranged multiple devices so that everything will go smoothly. So in between, if there is an interruption, please let me know so that I can make some arrangement. So let me share my screen first of all. And I hope my screen has been shared. Okay. So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for sparing your valuable time. So today we are going to discuss certain important aspects of research, because I hope, and I heard from Professor Fayaz saying, I was just going through your speakers, different types of speakers from India and other part of the world, explaining about research. So certainly this sessions, the pre-lunch session was fruitful, and I hope you enjoyed. And I make my best to provide you and engage you in all the sessions, whatever I'm going to engage today. So I'm just trying to fetch my PowerPoint. Just a second. By the time I just introduce the sessions, what I'm going to make today, which will be more like a practical session and which will be more like a publications oriented, like quality of publications and everything. I will try to reduce the theoretical stuff and try to give more emphasis on how to engage, how to publish a quality journal in a quality journal, and what are the requirements which are expected from scholars. Before that, ladies and gentlemen, there is one thing which are very important. I thought let me just share those statistics with you, which is nothing but we have almost 11,000 fake journals, because we are living in an era of social media, and the social media has vast number of informations, and we are in ambiguity what informations we are supposed to accept and what has to be ignored. Researchers or research scholars like us, we usually encounter this challenge, because whenever we cite some of the informations or some of the data, we often struggle to identify the accurate information. So this is one of the major challenge. So when I was just collecting informations about different types of journals, I just came to know that there are 11,000 fake journals we have across the world. And unfortunately, 37% of the articles which has been published in those journals of us, the Indians. So this is one of the challenge which we are facing today. So I think we are facing this challenge whenever we cite articles, whenever we cite our research. So we are total in a confusion that what has to be cited. If you see, we in our country we stand second in the globally producing PhDs, but when it comes to the quality of research out of 5, our rank, our scale is 0.07. So there is somewhere we need to know that there is a quality issue which all of us need to address this issue, which is very essential to solve this problem. So today, what I'm going to discuss is, whenever we are publishing research paper, what kind of research papers we are supposed to publish and where we are supposed to publish. I think that's more important than just a publication, because we publish many papers in different part of the journal, but most of those journals are not indexed in any of index like Scopus or Web of Science or ABDC or IEEE, for especially for the science and engineers. So there are many types of index we have, and hardly we try to get an opportunity to publish, or even though we get an opportunity to publish, or even though we create a good research paper, we often think that it's very difficult to publish on those kind of journals. So I have just collected some of the statistics again for you. If you see this, we have 1.4 million accepted articles globally each year, and we have 14 million total accepted, more than 40 million total accepted papers, and 1.2 million articles which are available and everything. So these are the data which shows that how vast research is. And when we try to publish any articles or any papers in a particular journal, either it is a paper, either it is, book chapters or case studies or whatever. And I believe that there are different streams who are here as an audiences from the science and from social science and other streams. So you know better about your own area. So I try to make a very general, because I'm from social science background. So I don't want to, imbalance. I try to balance both, because publication is quite common in almost all the area, except what you publish makes a difference. So usually, since I have got an opportunity to make review for many well-known review journal, for example, Emerald or Elsevier or Web of Science, sorry, this Taylor and Francis or Sage, these are quite prestigious journals. So I got an opportunity to review a couple of articles published in these journals. So they had a very clear criteria uh, before we accept or reject what has to be done. So they have their own set of principles. I'm going to discuss all those things in the coming slides. So these criteria are very clear whenever they expect us to reveal, and most of the journals get rejected in the desk. We call it as a desk rejection. So why it is happening, we will have to discuss about this, and why we are not getting an opportunity to even to accept in the desk, so that at least we go to the reviewer, so the reviewer can accept, or reviewer can give some kind of comment, so that we can do something in order to pass through this process. Anyway, if you look at this, mostly they are interested about original results and methods. They're not interested about purely depending upon the secondary data. They're not much interested about review if it is until or unless if there is no technical or the recent tools which are applied. And they are also interested about up-to-date reviews. So, for example, you might have seen during COVID-19, there are n number of research papers got published in many of the journals. And now trend has changed. Most of the journals try to reject whenever we try to publish, if it is COVID-19 related articles. So we need to be very careful about those things. And certainly they're much interested about our logical conclusions. So these are, in a very nutshell, how we are supposed to prepare before we plan to go for any kind of publication. So initially, these are quite basic informations. I think I believe that most of you are aware of these basic informations. But still, let me just ignite some of the aspects before I jump into the core concept or discussions which I'm going to do today. So usually when we think of publications, we have something called research articles, like full articles, or sometimes we get an opportunity to write a letter or a short communications, or sometimes we get an opportunity to write review papers or summaries or something like that. Even the case studies for especially the Emerald and Taylor and Francis journals, they are more interested about case studies. So these are the opportunities we often get whenever we plan to publish. So we are supposed to choose the journals now. So you have an idea. One of the biggest mistakes we commit: we prepare article, then we search for journals. That's not the case. We are supposed to ready make a structure of the articles, like for example title and approximately and a kind of an abstract. Of course, the abstract has to be restructured once we complete the result. But we have an idea about our publications, and okay, this is exactly what we're going to do, and this is exactly which is connected or related to. So we are supposed to identify a journal. Why this is important? See, when we say a journal, it is very important to know that. For example, we have Emerald. It's one set of journals. There are many journals are there under the publications of Emerald. So Emerald is the publisher, or Elsevier is a publisher, or Taylor and Francis is a publisher. So all these publishers have their own journals and different types of journals in different field. Either it is science or social science or economics or whatever. So they have their own expectation. So these expectations are very, strict expectations. And if, say, for example, if you want to publish in an Emerald, you arrange your entire article for Emerald. So you try to submit your article to Emerald. So certainly you will arrange entire articles, either it is citation, either it is, kind of result, what kind of result they expect, what kind of tools they expect you to apply there, what should be the, what's the structure of your articles, the kind of methodology, everything. So you arrange your entire article for Emerald, and all of a sudden you identify that there is something else, some other journals which are available. So you have to completely redo your work. So it's always important to identify journals when you finalize your articles. So colleagues, this is the first step when you try to identify your journals. And one of the major things, so for example, you got a kind of an articles, then what you're supposed to do is quite simple. I hope all of you heard about Scopus. And Scopus is one of the database which is very much essential for all the researchers to just browse in a Scopus, web page, like their database. So, for example, when you just go to internet and Google, and you just type Scopus, you get a page like this. And there are two types of advantage you have when you go for Scopus. One is, you can download many number of articles. That's the database. Second thing, you can just identify whether articles which you are in search of is indexed in Scopus or not. And for that, you're supposed to go to a source, which is open access, because Scopus database is a closed access, which you're supposed to be, subject to, you have to make a payment. Or else Scopus sources is open access. Anybody can go and put your keywords there and try to get, whether it is indexed or not. So I think some of you are already aware of this, and I think this will be more useful to the people who are exposed first time, so that this will be much beneficial. So this is exactly what we have in a Scopus sources. Once you go to the Scopus sources, you have this ISSN number or title or subject area or publishers. If you know the ISSN number, this is far better. So you just go to the sources and you put your ISSN number. I have to take one ISSN number now. Say, for example, I just choose one number here. For example, you just put your ISSN number and you click. You get this screen. For example, this journal, a cancer journal for Senexis, which is coverage, Scopus coverage is from 1950 to present. This is very important. Sometimes delisted journals are, so for example, 1950 to 2000. So it is delisted. So you should see this, number one. Second thing, if you come down, you have journal rankings. If you see this rank, for example, here, this is the best journal. So that I just picked one. This is Q1 journal, which is 99. So you could see this journal ranking by clicking here, the site score or rank or trend. Here you have the percentile. If it is more than, if it is 99 or above, 75 and above, which is Q1, or 75 to 50, which is Q2, 25 to 50 Q3, less than 25, which is Q4 journals. So this is how this has been ranked. So this is one way of identifying the journals by just going to the Scopus index journals and trying to get whether it is indexed or not. Second thing is, especially this is applicable to social science researchers. You can just go to ABDC, we call ABDC journals, which is most prestigious journals are listed over here, ABDC, Australian Business Deans Council. So if you are planning to apply international projects or the project from the European Unions or any other scholarships or postdoc, they usually ask you how many of your publications listed under ABDC. So you can concentrate on over here because there are certain journals which are indexed in Scopus, ABDC, Web of Science, or even IEEE. So sometime at least Scopus is mandatory, required. So you can just go to ABDC and put your ISSN number or and just go to a search. You get whether it is listed or not. And or else you can just export the complete list of journals. You don't have any ISSN number. You can just click over here, the complete list of journals which has been listed under ABDC, and you can just make a filter because there are many options to make a filter, which is already arranged. You can just click your subject and get the journals. And if there are A star, which is the highest ranked, or A, B star, B, C star, C, this kind of ranks are there. So if you are initially publishing and you don't have much experience of research, you can just think of, at least indexed under Scopus or C level ABDC journals. And third option is we have Web of Science. So Web of Science is one more, especially the most of the science journals are listed in Web of Science. Again, if you go to the Web of Science, just type Web of Science in Google. You can just make a registration. So free register it is. Just click over there and search for the journals. One thing. Second thing, you just put your ISSN number and search for the journals. You get whether your journals are listed under the Scopus, Web of Science or not. That's number one. Second thing, I'll just go back to the PowerPoint now. Okay. So I will be just switching from PowerPoint to these index. So this was exactly what we started off with three things. I just demonstrated this. So when you try to publish, you have to look into the Scopus or Web of Science or ABDC. So when you put your ISSN number over here, you just get a kind of screen like this. If it is listed, otherwise it says no data available. So that it is not listed under Web of Science. If it is listed under the Web of Science, you can just look into that. That's number one. Second thing, when you wanted to check exactly the ranking of the journals, I told you one way you to check if it is in the Scopus, if you have to go to the rank. There is one more thing called Schemago. You can just copy this Schemago. Just go to the internet and put Schemago. You will get to know. I just copy one ISSN number here. For example, 20817452. Okay, and put try to search in a Schemago. When you put this ISSN number, you get this kind of page called, for example, Polish Journal of Management Studies. I just have a couple of papers in this journal. So when you just search, you get this journal name and just go there and click over there. You get a complete details of the journals. And you have to see that this country of publishers is Poland and everything. The subject areas are there and all the informations, and you can have a direct link through the home page and here. And if you come down, here you have all those citations related aspects. And if you see this, you could see the ranking of the journal. Q3 it is. So it's not necessary that this is Q3 in Schemago. Sometimes in Scopus ranking could be something else. It could be Q1 or Q2 or Q4 sometime. So it depends. It differs. The calculations pattern is different. If it is listed in the Web of Science, they also have their own ranking. So you have to just look into these aspects when you think of making a publications. Coming to the second important part. Okay, I just continue. So Second important part is fine. Now you don't have any idea about your journals. You don't have any knowledge. Okay, where can I publish this particular article? Then there is one more option. That option is nothing but match your manuscript. You have no idea about your journal. Then you're supposed to search journal. You have a topic, for example. If I have a topic, say for example, I just put my research topic, ego states and productivity. I hope I'm audible to everybody. I'm just talking. Okay, find journals. Just click on that. If you have an abstract, you can just put an abstract there, or else you can just put your topics and find journals. So you get a lot of journals name here, which and they mention that how much it matches, 0.18 and everything. There are two types of journals. I hope you know that scope, open and closed access. Some of the journals which are open access, they ask for a APC, which is they charge for publications, and some are not. You can just go to the journal and identify which are the journals which makes payment. If your universities or if your institution is paying APC, it's fine. You can just go for open access journals, or else you can just make collaborations with those people who have open access APC, because most of the foreign universities they do, they just pay the APC of their scholars as well as the faculty members. My university do that. So you can just make use of those collaborations and do that, or else it's quite huge amount of money they ask for. Or else the best option is to go for a closed access, because closed access has its own time. Like usually closed access takes time to publish, and they accept your articles, and sometimes they make a delay. But I think for science and other streams you have a different pattern, but social science usually struggle to make this kind of publications. So this is number one. You can just search for journals and when to decide what where to publish. So there are a couple of PPT which has been open. I just closed it. Now, coming to this is a very important aspect of your publications. Guide for authors. Usually we ignore this. Why we ignore? Because there are too much to read, especially guide to author. So that's the sole reason we are ignoring this guide to author. But this is very essential when you make publications. Guide to author is required mostly because of there are minute informations, maybe a structure of the articles or a kind of publications. For example, some of the article, I'll take an example of Emerald, which is one of the most prestigious publisher. They ask for Harvard publication style, sorry, citation style, reference style. So when I'll explain about Mandel later on. Just imagine you just manually, prepare this references, or you go to Mandel or any other reference manager tool, and just apply this reference manager tool and get citation done. But their pattern is little different. They have their own way to deal this. So you're supposed to be very careful when you are, reading a guide for an author. And this is number one. Second thing, the scope or aim. Why I'm just stressing this point, we take a lot of struggle to do research, often. And we try to publish. And one of the things we expect them to respond very quickly. The two reasons, colleagues, they take time. One thing, if it is not under their scope, they just make a delay. In the sense, they're not interested. They just make a delay, and one fine day, they try to identify if your articles is fabulous. Okay, they try to provide you opportunities to, or they try to fit in some of the scopes which they have. If it is quite interesting article, because usually these journals are interested about their citation, because their ranking is totally depending upon the citation. If they get good citation, certainly they try to publish your articles. So if there is no proper citations, because if they think that this article is not going to get any citations, they often postpone or reject. So for that, this is quite important thing to understand about author guide. So you're supposed to read it quite carefully so that you will not make that mistake. Second important thing is how you frame your title. I just go quite quickly because I have just a couple of things to you before I complete my time. So another important thing is how exactly you make your title, how you arrange your title. That's more important. Sometimes we go for a very traditional way of making a title or creating a title. So you're supposed to avoid those and try to make a very catchy and attractive title, so that they will be more interested to give you an opportunity. So these two are very important aspects. And coming to the third aspect, which is keyword. So most of us think that, or most of the journals, because I have seen in many of the articles, when it comes to a review, their title itself, because they just pick few words from their title and they make a keywords. That's not the case actually. It's not necessary, or you're not supposed to pick words from the title. Of course, sometimes you can do that. If it is very important keywords which you mention in the title, you can just mention in your keywords. Or else we're supposed to identify some of the important keywords which not necessarily should be there in the title. So these two important things which you are supposed to remember when you make your article ready, because your abstract, title, keywords are the face of your article. Then coming to your abstract, because many journals have their own requirements. Why these requirements? First of all, they have their own structure. Again, for example, Tyler and Francis and Sage, they have their own expectations in their abstract, because this is the thumb rule. What we say, I have just taken from the Elsewhere journal, which is quite interesting journal, and which is Elsewhere publisher has many journals. So you can just go to their web page, Elsewhere page, and you can just do as what I did just now. Just put your abstract, or if you have a title, you can just put it over there and try to get an article which match your what is that called manuscript. So if you see this, they expect 1 to 2 sentences aims, and 2 to 3 sentences materials and method, or 2 to 3 sentences results, and 2 sentences of discussions. Hardly they want everything in 100 words or 150 words. See, look at this Inter Science. Inter Science is one kind of journal. Their open access are very fast, but their closed access takes time. Sometimes they make you to wait for a year to get it published. They give scope because they allow you to write a lot. But if you go to Emerald, they want you to finish everything in 6,000 words, 7,000 words, including references. So you're supposed to be very careful what information you're supposed to put it over there and what not. Don't think, especially when it comes to a literature review. I'll show you a couple of tools which you can apply in a literature review. Because last time when I published one of the most prestigious journals, Q1, the journal called Bottom Line, quite interesting journal. And my research was about Russia and Ukraine war, which is a very recent topic. How Russia and Ukraine war is going to affect the supply chain, and how this will, in turn impact on sustainable development goals of United States. So this was the entire research all about, and editor was quite interested, and he said fabulous and quite interesting topic, and you can just submit. And I just did that. But the review was like, of course, when you get a very negative review, you often get irritated. They have given very solid review. I think more than 3 pages of review, pointing each and every mistakes which has been committed by me. I learned a lot, but sometimes I just see that, how can I do this kind of mistakes? which including abstract. So I just thought like, that, it's like a mind-opening review. I should appreciate the reviewer has done a fabulous job by spending a lot of time. And he read pin to pin. One of the major comment he just mentioned is unnecessary information has been put, because we think when we make a paper, we think these are very important. I think we have to read a couple of times again and again, and we should take a decision before we put those content in our review. So this is very important aspect when we prepare. Like, for example, introductions. Often we elaborate a lot of things which are not necessary. We do that because in introduction, you should completely cover many aspects of your paper. For example, you have to explain the problem, you have to describe your approach, rather than explaining about many unnecessary things which are not required, because they need to know what's the problem basically you have, and they need to know what is the existing solution. You have to mention the solution, existing solutions, and the limitations. Often we make confusion here because we don't differentiate literature review and and introduction at the end of the part of the introduction, because there are many comments which are based on that. When it comes to a literature review, colleagues, there are many tools which we have. For example, you have a topic or you have a keywords. I told you why keyword is more important. When you have a keyword and you have a database, you can often do that. Just go to the source, or you can just go to the search, Scopus search. There are database search. You can just put keywords over there and search articles which are required for you. There are Scopus, database. We have Science Direct database, Emerald database. These all are the database gives you ample amount of information, huge amount of data, apart from what we call Google Scholar. So the Google Scholar is something which includes all data. It's like a junk. But when it comes to specific, you want articles only indexed in Scopus, Web of Science and everything, because some of the reviewers usually ask you to, mention only or cite only articles which are listed in Scopus of Web of Science and which are Q1 and everything. So in such cases, you're supposed to be doing this. So you have to go to a Scopus document search and put your keywords there. For example, I have put bank performance and what else? Productivity, all those things. Okay. So I just go for a search now. So when you put for a search, apply for a search, you get many articles which are popping up over here. If you see this, there are 529 articles which are related to this particular keywords. You can just go through everything, and if you want, if you can just make a filtration, because there are articles which are related to the computer science, social science, decision science, and everything. Okay, I want to only business management or economics. I can just click those things and I can limit to, so that it will reduce. So there are multiple options we have when you want to finalize that. So now here, when you click on the top, you can either export this as the RIS file to make a Mendeley references tools to make a references, or you can just click download it, or else you can just go and make an analysis. So that option is also there. So you can just analyze the result, what kind of publishers are there, and who are those people who publish and everything, because this is usually need when you write a literature review. Because literature review is not writing a story. Literature review is exactly, you're supposed to analyze the past research. So you can just see how many number of articles are there. Especially this will be helpful for those people who are currently pursuing your PhD or postdoc, because of course, those who have completed the PhD, they are aware of this. So those who are pursuing their PhD now, colleagues, for you, this is very much useful. You're supposed to be doing this when you are analyzing your thesis, when you're writing your thesis. So you have all this data, documents by affiliations, documents by author or sources and everything. And here you get to know the territory. So when you're writing your thesis, just imagine you should know that your topics has been done ample amount of research in which country. For example, in this point we have United States and India. So all these are researches conducted and published in Scopus Index only. And a document by subject area, which subject you have majority of the research, which has got published in this particular keywords of business management, economics, and everything. So the least is in energy. So you can just identify, because this is needed in order to identify the research gap. Research gap is not only the gap which is contextual, but also you're supposed to identify the research gap in all these means. So including, you can identify which university published most, and you get top 10 universities name over there. So these are the part of your analysis when you go for it. Then of course we can just go for Scopus. Download. You can download all the articles if you want, and you can download the RIS file. I'll tell you what is the use of RIS file. There is something called WOS Viewer. Okay, the WOS Viewer looks like this. For example, when you download RIS file over there, you can just go to, you can just download WOS Viewer. WOS Viewer is open access. Anybody can go to Google and download that. It's an open access. So you have options. The moment when you go to the WOS Viewer, you have these options. You can just click create a map. First of all, you're supposed to download RIS file there, and you can just create a map, and just click create a map based on your bibliographic data. And next, you can just say that you read the data from bibliographic database file because you download RIS file. Then next, you can just choose your art file because you downloaded your file. Now we're supposed to choose it. Where did I say it? This is one of the challenge. Okay. I just downloaded this RIS file. Click on that. Okay. Then next, it will ask a couple of questions, exactly what you want. If you see the next. Okay, this file is already been saved. Because I already created this, thing. So anyway, at the end you get this result. Once you just go next, you get this result. Look at this. What was my keyword? And I have to just put banking performance here. And there are a couple of keywords which are associated with this. So this is the major keyword. If you click over here, and you could see how many keywords are associated. So these are the couple of keywords which are associated with the point. For example, if you are into a banking, you can see that what are the research which are already being conducted, and which are those research which is highly, very less number. For example, banking and big data, there are hardly one paper which has got published especially in the social science. So, okay, you got to know that. Now, this is how you're supposed to be analyzing it. And we call it as a bibliographic analysis. You can publish a paper exclusively on this, a bibliographic analysis. Like a literature review paper you submit and try to get published. But you can also do this because nowadays they accept this kind of an article instead of going for a traditional one. So you can just save this and put it into your manuscript and explain that. Of course, it's not only one. You have to do a couple of keywords and try to extract the data and create your own papers. So this is one way. Second important useful in this database is a Mendeley. I don't know how many of you are using Mendeley. You can just raise your hand in your Zoom platform so that I'll get a couple of idea how many of you are using Mendeley. If you know about Mendeley, I will not. This will be a damn boring. Otherwise, those who never used, I think this will be highly useful software. This reference tool. Thank you. A couple of you are already aware of this. That's quite great. See, what happens when you are using Mendeley? I just delete this separate one, or I just don't come down because I don't trust this internet. Okay, so I just put some couple of words here. Just imagine I just type something. And if you are, Mendeley is again open access. Anybody can have this Mendeley. And here, it's not only Mendeley, there are many citation tools we have. I just choose Mendeley. If you just download Mendeley and you get this kind of data, I have already copied. What you're supposed to do, you just download RIS file or PDF file, whatever, just drag to this. So you get all these are automated. When you just drag it and go back to your MS Word and plug into that, because when you go to MS Word and if you go to the references, it will ask you to plug into Mendeley over there. So you can just plug into that. And so that will appear in your MS Word. Okay, so here. Many page I open. So okay. So when you just go to the Mendeley, you have when you just plug into that, you get all these references over here. You're supposed to just click. What are the options you're supposed to choose? Okay, you want to cite now this particular article. Just go and click and okay. I told you I have so slow internet, and just bear with me. I'm just trying my best to show you the to demonstrate this. Okay, thankfully, as of now, there is no issue. Okay, I just click this and save changes. Usually, last you insert, now I'm adjusting over there. So you will get to you will get okay. You just cited now, and you have just cited and put insert references. You have a couple of articles which automatically cited. Rajesh Acharya has raised your hand. Any questions, sir? I think somebody, if you're not able to speak, you can just put your questions in the chat box so that if it is addressable, I can address right now. Any specific questions?
Sir, you can continue, sir.
All right, fine. So this is exactly how it has been done by using Mendeley. Just click your article there down and go to the options. There are three dots over here and insert bibliography. You can just get this kind of citations, or you can even change by changing your citation style. You can choose any citation style you want, either it is okay. His question is quite interesting. What is the difference between Mendeley and Scopus? See, Scopus is a database. Scopus, Web of Science, ABDC, all these are database. If you want, for example, you have a research scholar, Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a database. You just put your keywords and get a lot of articles there. That's a database. Similarly, Scopus is a database. That's number one. Second thing, there are many journals which are indexed under Scopus. So under this particular database. So Scopus is a database, Scopus is an indexed tool. So Web of Science is an indexed one. So any journals which are indexed in the Scopus or Web of Science, you're supposed to be expected to publish in these kind of journal, which are indexed in Scopus and Web of Science. And I just demonstrated how we're supposed to check whether these particular articles are indexed in Scopus or Web of Science. If you have a confusion, you can just go back to the reference, or you can just contact me. I'll teach you in detail. That's number one. So here, how I'm associated with the Mendeley and Scopus. Because since I told you Scopus is a database, you just search your keywords in this particular database. For example, I just searched my keywords over here, and I just exported RIS file. By choosing RIS, by clicking this RIS file, you get downloaded RIS file. And I want this particular article to be cited in my research paper. So I'm just preparing my research paper. Instead of doing manual citation, I just use Mendeley as my reference manager. So this will reduce your work, a lot of work. You will get quite accurate, references. And see, I did not prepare this manually. I just clicked, finish. For example, I told you, I just want to, I just submitted in one journal, and they want APC, American Psychological Association, and they rejected. Imagine, they just rejected. So I submitted some other journal, IEEE, for example. IEEE, in the sense, some journal which want IEEE references. So now, just imagine just changing entire references manually. This is a headache job. So what I do, if I'm just using Mendeley, I just click update my reference style, finish. See, look at this, completely changed. Just a click of button, it will change everything. So you have no IEEE. Okay, you want to change again, go to the setting and click something else, which is the requirement of your journal, and change, finish. So this is exactly, you can use and your citation tools. So why, this will make interesting, especially these publishers. They want this kind of reference tools to be used, so that, the number of error, the amount of error which you are committing or we are committing whenever we publish our research papers, or whenever we working for our research papers, will be much reduced. So this is not only Mendeley, colleagues. You have EndNote is another, which are EndNote is paid one. So usually I refer Mendeley. Zotero is there, which is also open access. You can go for Zotero, similar like Mendeley. You can copy paste, drag it and just do that. So this Weaver have done this again to prepare this bibliometric structure. You need Scopus database, or you the Web of Science database, because Web of Science also work in the same way as which works the Scopus. So, and you can just create such a very attractive bibliometric graph, and certainly that will be much useful, colleagues. Now it comes to methods. Here, I don't go for a very basic one. I just tell you some of the methods which are very much relevant, apart from what usually we do, because methods we mentioned about samples and everything, and that these kind of samples and these are a very traditional approach. Now we have much more advanced approach of methodology, and sometimes whenever you explain about your methods, you're supposed to be very much careful about just carbon copy the same thing of what you are following the previous publisher. For example, you are adopting couple of questionnaire from the previous publishers, and doesn't mean that you're supposed to follow the same methodology. So what is your contribution is more important, and how you're controlling your samples and all those stuff. I think the previous researcher might have explained to you, previous presenter might have explained to you about this methodology. But methods also, we can apply some of the tools which are available, because each methodology is different. Social science is different, especially we have a recent era which we call bibliometric analysis. So this bibliometric analysis methodology is different, and a financial paper methodology is different. So I cannot explain one particular methodology over here. And I told you I was just giving an examples of my the recent paper which has got accepted, Russia-Ukraine war and supply chain issues. Their methodology was expected completely different. I was I thought something else, and they expected something, and I completely redrafted it. So they wanted the entire database has to be mentioned to them. That was quite interesting, you know. So what database and how I analyzed what tools and how much load I have taken and everything. So this was entirely different. So their expectation is entirely different in terms of methodology. And coming to the result again here. So those who are into the social science, you know, remember this, because I'm sorry, I don't have much information about the science papers, what kind of result they expect. Of course, your experimental research, but social science research, usually we put a lot of tables, figures, you know, over there in the result. It's not the case. For example, even a couple of researchers put their demographic information, they highlight their demographic information too much. They put tables, they put figures, not required. Just, you know, if it, you know, these kind of informations can be described, sufficient. Just describe that, okay, these all are your demographic informations and everything, because it should be very short, in a very nutshell. But you have to highlight, focus on major, your associations, your relationship. You put a lot of tools, for example, structural equations and much more advanced tools are there. R studios are there. If it is financial paper, you have to go for some critical financial tools, which makes proper analysis, how it is scattered and everything. So these are more interesting things. These are more important things rather than concentrating on or putting on unnecessary images and pictures. And tables also, try to reduce as much as tables as possible, because some of the tables you have to put it over there in your annexure, not required to mention over here. And avoid large number of tables and putting all informations into that tables and presenting it. So these all are mistakes often we commit, or try to avoid redundancy, which we keep on repeat things. And very important, colleagues, what you present in your research paper, result and discussion is entirely different. So discussion should be very comprehensive, like you're supposed to associate with the previous result. And sometimes, in many cases, we discuss completely different what we identified. We think that discussion is a very open platform. No, it is not. Supposed to be associated with your hypothesis. And supposed to be associated with your hypothesis, what you identified, what the previous researchers identified, and how it makes different. So that should be very comprehensive, discussion. I have mentioned some of the things should be avoided. This is very important. Statements that go beyond what the results can support. Because sometimes we put a perception there. No, we're not supposed to put our perceptions over there. We're completely, focus on what results we identify. That's more important than this particular aspect. Then non-specific expressions, which are not required. Please avoid that. And new terms and which already defined and mentioned in your paper, don't repeat the same thing. Please avoid these aspects, which are much important. And about the conclusions, explain your work. And again, in conclusions, please don't bring new stuff over there. Just connect to your researchers. Just connect your previous research. What you identified over there. And also some of the journals expect you to put conclusions and practical implications together. So you can just do that. Conclusions and practical implications together. So this is another important things to be remembered. So one more thing, I think I will also explain. Just close the door because some noise is coming out. Another important aspect is how do you effectively use this Scopus database. Those who don't have an access, please, you can just contact me. After this, I can just try to give you some of the data, because this data base, those who don't have, because your universities or institutions are supposed to make a subscription so that you get an access. So before I jump into that, I just forgot to tell you one more advantage of using this Scopus. Look at this. We have documents, we have patents, we have secondary documents and everything. So when you go for sources, I told you, you can search whether it is indexed in Scopus or not. When you go for a search, very friendly. When you go for a search, you have three options there. Sorry, four options there. One is documents, another one is author. If you are the one who publishing, colleagues, I hope many of you have ORCID ID. Those who don't have ORCID ID, please do that, because ORCID ID, ORCID, what we call, it's like Aadhaar, you know. Aadhaar is our identity card. Like ORCID ID is an identity of a researcher. Wherever you publish, because any indexed journal, if you want to publish, they expect you to submit your ORCID ID. So you can otherwise, you can, because the moment when you log into the Scopus, you can make a Scopus account free, no need to pay anything. So the moment when you log into the Scopus, you can do this. You can just put your first name, you can do your second name and search. When you just search this, you will get to know all the articles which has been published by you. For example, this. Not all articles are indexed here, that are listed here. For example, this is my work. You can just see all the articles which are listed in the Scopus, which has been shown here. And on the right, extreme right side, cited by, sources, here, authors, all those authors which are there, and the document titles. So all the citations are there. And also, you can just analyze your own thing. Is there any secondary documents which has been there, or for example, all the secondary documents which are listed in your articles, which has been published by you, which are there, and also your H index, all those things. So many informations are covered if you are having Scopus, because for this, no need to have subscriptions. You can just directly log in. The moment when you have your own articles got published, you will be appearing over here. And also you can export your CVA, CSV file, Excel file, download all your article. Sometimes you need to cite your own article, or if you have to ask someone else to cite your article so that you get good citation, your H index will be improved. For that, you're supposed to download RIS file and send to your colleague, so that we can just do that. So this is very important, and you can see how many open access and everything. So it's a complete details. And year-wise, if you want to submit for your what is it called, CV, you want to just analyze your own publications, with which country you have conducted associations, and so all those things, with authors, with the country which you are associated with, everything will be mentioned in this Scopus. Anyway, I am running out of time. I just reached to the one more informations which are, for example, I know that a couple of you are having difficulties in fetching articles which are open access. Sorry, which are from this index. You can go to AI tools. There are a couple of AI tools that are very interesting. For example, elicit.org. I just went through all this. I'm using a couple of this. Consensus AI literature, Genai AI literature. So all these are beneficial to search, literatures. You get very interesting literature, not like ChatGPT, by the way. This is quite interesting. And also you have, for making various presentations, you can just go for the design.ai PPT, which is also quite interesting. So you can just use that. Once you've done that, you can just submit your paper and revise your paper. That's more interesting. I know we often hate to read the work which we have done. So just revise and revise and revise. Sometimes we make very serious mistakes, or ask your colleagues to whom you trust, just let them revise. And what happens now? When you submit your papers, usually the reviewers, whenever you submit your papers, usually the reviewers, they have two things, colleagues. One is there is single blind review. Another one is double blind review. Third one is an open review. The single blind, double blind is quite common. Single blind review is, it will go to the reviewer, where the reviewer identity is hidden from the authors, and reviewers are the identity, because both are hidden to the authors, which is single bind, where you know who the reviewer is, but you do not know who is the author. And in the double blind review, both of you know each other. You know who is reviewing, who is the author. And open is reviewer and authors are known to each other. Okay, so double blind review, both of, because most of the journals are double blind review. Neither the reviewer know who is the author, nor the authors know who is the reviewer. So most of the cases, this is exactly what happens in the reviewer side. Now coming to the editorial thing. Once you submit your papers into the Scopus, I'm sorry, some noise will be there. Just bear with me. Once you submit in the paper to the desk, it will go to that desk where the editor, before it reaches to the editor, the associate editor will look into your paper. The associate editor, or else there will be somebody will be reviewing your articles in the desk, and they will look into your citations. They will look into the scope. First of all, they will look into the scope, and of course, they will test your plagiarism by applying the Turnitin or any other advanced tools, and they will also check whether you are whether you copied from all these AI tools or everything. So these are the primary thing. Number one, once you pass this desk review, they see whether your paper quality meets the standard of the journal, and it will immediately reject it from the desk. Or else, if it is passing through desk, it will go to the associate editor, and associate editor will take a decision whether it has to be sent to the reviewer or not. Because you have a 40% of the probability to accept your papers or opportunity to pass through if it passes through a desk. So don't make a blind mistake, in the initial stage to avoid desk rejection, because desk rejections is gone, finished. There is no opportunity to further make any submission. If it is not a desk rejections, you have an option to address the reviewer comment. That's quite interesting. Like you have anyway. Most of the reviewers don't reject paper if it is too low standard. Of course, they do reject, because most of the articles, most of the papers, if it is any opportunity, or if they identify any scope of making any modification, they do give a scope. Because who are the reviewers? We only the reviewers, because some of you are maybe the reviewers, and you know that how do you review. So try to avoid those major mistakes, and certainly you get a chance. And some of if there is any opportunity to make a cover letter, please do that. It's not a mandatory thing to do, but you try to do that, and you try to explain the editor, because we think that they don't read. They do read. I have a couple of my colleagues who are an editor for a very prestigious journal, and I know that they read the cover letter, and they sometimes they get impressed by reading the cover letter, and they give an option to publish. And okay, well, there is a question which I am saying. How do we know the appropriate format for the paper? Its only option is go to author's guidelines. Author guidelines, you get to know the complete details of the paper, with the structure of the paper, how many words, everything, reference style and everything. So based on that, you can just make your paper study. So I just completed almost everything. I just thought to put this. This is like this, like if you are writing a paper, like you have everybody surrounded by you, and this is exactly the challenge, to write a paper, and you will get many challenges, many kind of reviews and everything. And my humble request before I just go for conclusion or wrap up my session, because most of us are good researchers, and we should know that if you want to emphasize, or if you want to identify yourself to be a well-known researcher, or if you want to globally identify your name as one of the researcher, you have to go for a Scopus, or we have to go for an indexed one. It's not necessary that you should go to Scopus. Either you can go to ABDC, you can go to Web of Science, you can go to Scopus, anywhere. But please go submit your papers in a Scopus journal or Web of Science or ABDC journal, index journal in general. I'll tell you what is the advantage. It will get rejected. 100% initially they will reject, but they will give you a good feedback. This journey will change our approach or a kind of perception towards the research. This gradually change our writing skill. This gradually teaches what we are not supposed to do. And one day it will accept it. Because I know I have more than 30 to 35 papers now accepted and published in the Scopus and Web of Science. And it took almost 4 years to reach this level. Because one thing is your colleagues, your peer. You have to collaborate each other. And that should be the important thing. And some of you good in literature, some of you good in writing introduction, some of you good in language, some of you good in applying tools. Please join together and make a paper. For example, if you're making a 3 paper, just collaborate each other 3. You have 3 papers at a shot. So this should be like in a win-win situation. And don't hesitate. This is very important slide. Don't hesitate. Contact LinkedIn, put words, approach them, ask them, I have this idea. Will you like to collaborate with me? If they say no, no worry. Just do that. Just approach people across the world. Do not restrict yourself within the boundary of India. Please write a word. You can just check the people who are good into your area, because you can just go through the there are articles in a Scopus journals or in any database journals. Just write email or approach them via LinkedIn, because they do respond to you. Some of the researchers are actually waiting for the collaboration. So just approach them, ask them, and if they're happy to collaborate, just collaborate. And very importantly, colleagues, and most of us are academicians. Nothing will come along with us except research. You may be the good teacher, and there is no document for that. Only things which comes along with us is a research. And there are many grants we have, and we will get all those grants only when we have this kind of publications. So we will get a good amount of research grants. My own university have a grants, crores of rupees. They have a grants, and they give these grants only if you have a good research. And the only evidence is they look into these aspects. So I hope I made my best to convince and make a present. So if you have any doubts, you can just ask me now, or you can just write to me this email. And I have also my contact number. You can just feel free to contact, and feel free to collaborations and everything. So any questions? And this end of my sessions, I tried to fit the time allotted to me. And I'm sorry, it was a little hurry. And also there is some kind of glitch because of the internet speed. Thanks a lot. And any questions, please?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for a nice presentation. Sir,
Thank you.
okay, sir. Now the session is open for the discussion. Sir, there is one question from Dinesh. Sir, what is the importance and necessary of JEL codes?
Okay, I'll come to this. See, actually, this JEL codes is not mandatory for all the journals. Because you get a JEL code when there is a separate website for the JEL code, by the way. Some of the journal ask you to put JEL code, because this JEL code associated with the area of your research. For example, like we put keywords. So these keywords connect to the area of your topic. Similarly, JEL code. So JEL codes are connected. For example, bank performance. There is one JEL code. Performance has a different JEL code. Productivity has one JEL code. So not all journal expect you to do that. Some of the journal ask you to put a JEL code. So that's the only use. And no need to worry about the JEL code. You'll get this JEL code in their own website. Just go to their website and go to the particular keywords, and there is a JEL code. Just copy and paste, finish. Yes. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from the audience or participants? Please raise your hands. Or put in the chat box. Okay, sir. I have one question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in Scoopers, actually, I have published 45 papers in the chemistry.
Okay.
But I have not cited all the papers in Scoopers. Only 36 papers are cited in the Scoopers.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, can we add manually or they can select automatically? I don't know about
See,
that. Please give me that.
actually, there are two things. In a Scopus, if you go to Scopus author, just now I demonstrated this. If you go to a Scopus author here,
Okay.
just a second. You can just write email to them, approach them that this particular articles is missing, and they try to fetch the article. Second thing, those articles which you are saying which are missing, please go to those ISSN number and try to check whether exactly which is listed in the scope. Because
sir.
recently, most of the articles got delisted.
Yeah.
So journals got delisted. So if
Okay,
it is delisted, yeah.
Okay, sir. Some publications are from Springer publications actually.
Okay.
But they are not mentioned as Scoopers.
Yeah, not all Springer publications are in Scopus, even the elsewhere.
Yes.
Elsewhere, because Scopus is the one of the Scopus is elsewhere. Elsewhere is holding Scopus. Not all elsewhere are Scopus. So, and another important thing, colleagues, some of the journals claim that they are Scopus. Sometimes they are not. So there is something called carbon journal. This is ditto copy of the journal, and they put everything same. ISSN same, journal name is same. For that, the best thing is to avoid getting cheated. Is this? Please go to the this ISSN number. Put those ISSN number, and you get this page. What is displayed? Source homepage. This one. Just click source homepage. This is exactly take you to the actual journal homepage. This is the actual homepage. So that you can compare the other journal, which is carbon, which is not exactly the journal, which is Scopus, because a couple of my colleagues got cheated. They published, they paid APC, and it is not got reflected. And then they came to know that this is a fake journal. So for that, you need to be very careful. Just go through the Scopus and go to the home page. I think that will avoid this confusion.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sir, another question is there.
Yeah.
Hello. Sir,
Yes.
So you said that writing a covering letter to submit the paper is very important. That
Yeah.
will impress the editor. So
Yeah.
what thing should be covered in covering letter?
Exactly. The cover letter, you're supposed to write why this paper is suitable for this particular journal. So you are supposed to explain that what you have created, what you have done in your paper, so that editor can consider it for the publication. So that should be explained in this particular cover letter. And you are supposed to explain that, okay, this particular journal has this particular scope. And my point, what your article is, how it is connecting to this particular area. So totally you are convincing the editor, writing that, okay, this is exactly you have done. This is exactly which is suitable to your particular journal. So this is more like a convincing strategy in the cover letter. If any editor is ignoring the journal because they get n number of papers, in their desk, and why should they accept your paper? And sometimes some of the editors are not serious, and some of the editors are very busy because they're like us, academicians. It's not necessary that they should be busy. They should be free all the time. So this will help them. If they're not getting convinced, some of the editors, especially, we should appreciate this Western editors. They really look into that. They appreciate your letter and they read it. If they're unable to convince, okay, by reading a paper, they look into the cover letter, and in cover letter you highlight some of the points. They come back to that and they read. Because I don't believe in the lucky factor, but sometimes it happens. things can get changed.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think there is no more questions.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation and deliver a wonderful. It's like a hands-on training session like that. So it's very practical session. So I think all the participants get benefited after this session. Thank you very much, sir. For
Thank
giving
you.
a wonderful
Thank you.
talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of our government Arts and Science College Karwar and IPSC and RUSA and RDEC, I thank Professor Rahman sir for giving a wonderful talk. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
I request all the participants to switch on your video. We will take just one screenshot for that. Please switch on your video. Photo ತಗೊಂಡು. So just after this, after 5 minutes, we will start the validatory function. So during the validatory function, you will get a link for the feedback form. Please fill the feedback form. Who have filled the feedback form, they will get the certificate. Okay. Thank you. 3, 2, 1, go.
Thank you so much, sir, for a very insightful session. Now we are about to begin the Valedictory program and the feedback session. So for that, I request Srimati Brunda and Assistant Professor of Zoology Department to welcome the dignitaries on the Valedictory program.
Good afternoon. I feel delighted to welcome you all to this valedictory ceremony. Primarily, I would like to thank our principal ma'am, Srimati Vidya D. Naik, in her absence for her constant support. She could not join us today due to unavoidable circumstances. I would like to welcome Student Welfare Officer, Srimati Geeta Walikar Madam, who is presiding today's webinar. I welcome our Union Chairman, Srimati Vijayashree Gaonkar Madam. I'm also delighted to welcome Dr. Mohammad Fayaz, IQSC Coordinator, Dr. Prabhakar, and Dr. Mahendra Kumar Sir, conveners and the people behind the success of this webinar. I feel happy to welcome the organizing members and student secretaries, all the teaching and non-teaching staff, and dear participants. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if there is anyone who wants to give a feedback on the session, they can raise your hands. We'll allow them to unmute them and also turn on their cameras for the feedback session. They can raise their hands if anyone wants to ask any questions or just feedback. Anyone? We will wait for another 2 minutes and we'll move on. A feedback link also will be posted in the chat box right after the valedictory program. And once you fill the feedback form, you will receive the e-certificate. Make sure you fill this feedback form in order to receive the e-certificates. And if there is anyone who wants to speak up as a feedback, they can raise your hands. So now I welcome Professor Geeta Walikar ma'am, Principal in charge, for their presidential remark.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Let me begin with the Albert Einstein's famous quote that if we know what it was we were doing, it would not be called research, would it? It's a privilege and honor to be entrusted with such an undertaking of addressing the webinar by conveying a humble and sincere thanks to the honorable dignitaries, respected seniors, fellow members, friends, ladies and gentlemen, and dear students. We all understand the importance and relevance of the topic, research methodology and quality research publications. I wish to make a reference that I was impressed by the extremely knowledgeable professionals who, in spite of their busy schedule, found this webinar to be equally important and have collaborated with us in making this great effort. Well, when you are working on your first piece of academic research, there are various things to focus on, and it can be overwhelming to stay on the top of everything. This is especially true for the budding researchers. If you have never put together a research proposal before, or find yourself in a position where you need to explain your research methodology decisions, there are a few things you need to be aware of it. Now, by attending this international webinar on research methodology, I am very sure that this will be an enriching experience for all the delegates. The webinar has provided vast opportunities for sharing information, statistics, outstanding examples, interpretations, visions, and gaining knowledge about the method of research and importance of publishing your research findings. You are now able to think of your research methodology as being a formula. One side is how you plan on putting your research into practice, and the other is why you feel this is the best way to approach it. Your research methodology is ultimately a methodological and systematic plan to resolve your research problem. The webinar is begun with the keynote address by Dr. Naveen Kumar, SK, Postdoctoral Fellow, Department of Molecular Medicine, University of Michigan, USA, in which he talked about the aim and theme of the webinar. After attending this international webinar and listening to the talks of eminent resource persons, Professor B. Kumaraswamy from Kuvempu University, Karnataka, and Dr. Habibur Rahman from Kingdom University, Bahrain, I believe you are all now in a better position to explain how your ideas shall develop into a study, which in turn will produce valid, genuine, and reliable results that are in accordance with the aims and objectives of your research. It is in true sense that whether your paper plans to make use of qualitative methods or quantitative methods. I guess by participating in this webinar at the right time has accelerated the exchange of ideas. As such, I am confident enough that you have found new ideas and fresh energy that will be fruitful in your future research endeavors. In this regard, I thank the resource persons for accepting our invitation and delivering an enthusiastic talk, the theme of the webinar. Their presence has been invaluable and without any doubt has helped make this event a grand success. There is indeed plenty to reflect upon and enhance our individual contributions. Finally, I sincerely thank and congratulate the conveners and organizing committee and each and everyone who have toiled day in and day out in making this event a great success. Thanking one and all for listening patiently. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geeta madam. Now I request Dr. Mohammed Fayaz, Assistant Professor of BBA and IQSE Coordinator, to deliver his vote of thanks.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you is such a prayer that should not be only told, it must be felt by heart. I feel honored and privileged to get this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks on this special day. The random thought of conducting a state level workshop on research methodology a few weeks back has turned out into a reality, that is into an international online workshop on research methodology and publications. So this was possible only through the participation of all your wonderful participants. And to be precise, we have got exactly 504 participants. That was a great success in itself. To begin with my formal vote of thanks, I would like to thank Dr. Naveen Kumar SK, Postdoctoral Fellow, Department of Internal Medicine, University of Michigan, USA, for his valuable time and addressing the participants. Thank you very much, sir. Secondly, I would like to thank Professor B.E. Kumaraswamy, Department of Industrial Chemistry, Kuempu University, for the wonderful session he has delivered today on research methodology. That was indeed, he started from the basics of research, those who want to start with research work. It was a wonderful session. Thank you very much, sir, for your time and wonderful session. I'd like to thank Dr. Habibur Rahman, Assistant Professor, College of Business Administration, Kingdom University of Bahrain. Thank you, Dr. Habib, for that wonderful session on publications, selection of journals, citations, reviews, and so on. It was more of a practical session, hands-on session. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation and for that session. I'd like to thank all the wonderful participants who really made this webinar possible and successful. My sincere thanks to each one of you. If time is money, then you have spent millions of money on us today. Thank you very much for that. And I would like to thank our principal, Vidya Vinayak ma'am, for her constant support and guidance throughout this journey. I'd like to thank Srimati Geeta S. Walikar ma'am, Controller of Examination and Student Welfare Officer, for your guidance, ma'am. Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank my co-conveners, Dr. Mahendra Kumar sir, Associate Professor and Coordinator of Research and Development Cell, Dr. Prabhakar MC, Assistant Professor and Coordinator of RUSA. So thank you so much for all the efforts we have done together. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all the members of Research and Development Cell and members of IKC team for your constant support and to make this day possible. I'd like to thank also my colleagues, teaching and non-teaching, for all the level of involvement you have shown and the support you have made during these few weeks. I'd like to thank you, all of you, for this support. I'd like to thank especially our tech team. I'd start from Lokesh, Prasanna sir, and our beloved students who really made this possible, because in a webinar, more than the people who are visible in the screen, there are important people who is working behind the screen. I should mention their name because from day one they have made so much of efforts. I'd like to thank Mr. Swarup Alekar, Chetna, Muhammad Aman, Rahul Mitri, and Adarsh Kudalkar, and many students to name. They have worked day in and out to make this day possible. Thank you very much for your wonderful gesture. I'd like to also thank all the students who have directly and who have supported and done some wonderful help to make this possible. Thank you very much. I'd like to also thank media for giving us a publicity in the local newspapers. That was really helpful. Thank you very much. And I hope this day we have spent together has definitely added some values in our life. We have learned new lessons, And thank you for all the wonderful participation shown by your side. Thank you very much. I request all of you to on the video once. We'll have one last group photo. We would really appreciate that. Are we getting? Thank you very much. That's the end. Thank you so much for being with us today. Your feedback link will be shared in the chat box, also in the WhatsApp group also. So please see that you fill your name correctly. That name will be taken into consideration for giving your certificates. Thank you very much.